Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the time that lecturer has given for me. My name is Novira Maharani, NIM 17. I would like to present my proposal entitled An Analysis of Esther's Psychopath Behavior Reflected in Orphan Movie, a Psychoanalysis Perspective. Okay, I will go straight to the chapter 1. In the chapter 1, there is the definition of psychopath. Psychopath is a person who has a rough behavior, manipulative, antisocial, no feeling, etc. Psychopaths make the people scared of them. According to Kartini Kartono, 1989, psychopaths are a form of mental disorder which is characterized by no personal organization and integration. The person can never be morally responsible, always in conflict with social and legal norms created by one's own imagination. And then the characteristics of psychopaths. The characteristic of psychopaths based on the psychopath checklist revised. The first is often lies, eloquent and superficial, and then egocentric and thinks himself great, and then perfectionist, and then no remorse and guilt, and then enjoys misbehavior and troubled behavior in childhood, and then antisocial behavior in adulthood, and then lack of empathy. And then psychopaths are also persistent in acting aggressively, challenging the gods and fights, sleeping late, and often leaving the house. And then impulsivity and difficulty controlling oneself, and then not being able to take responsibility and do things for the sake of sheer pleasure. And then manipulative and cheating. And the last is living as a parasite because they uses other people for their pleasure and satisfaction. And then the synopsis of Orphan movie. Orphan is a psychological horror film that tells about a couple who adopt a mysterious 9-year-old girl. At the orphanage, they adopted Esther, who was only 9 years old. She was originally from Russia, and the family who last adopted her died in a fire. Esther managed to captivate Jack and Kate with her genuine smile and painting skills. Not long after, Kate and Jack adopted her and brought her back to their home. Max immediately welcomed her arrival, but Daniel hated her very much because of Esther's dodgy dress style and unusual way of looking. Long story short, Kate, who believed in the information from Sister Abigail, finally found and gathered a child who had a mental disorder and tried to make John believe. Going mad, Esther ends up breaking her own bones and complaining to John that it was Kate. Then, an increasingly annoyed Kate finally found Esther's books where there were many photos of men, and Kate continued to investigate the mental hospital where the books were given. It is revealed that Esther is actually in her 30s, who has the body of a 9-year-old child, and she likes her stepfather. From the background above, the researcher is interested in analyzing the orphan movie. Okay, jump into the research question. After seeing the background, the research questions were formulated as follows. The first is, what is psychopath? And then the second is, how is Esther's characteristic depicted in the film? And then the last is, why Esther did the psychopath behavior. Let's jump into the chapter 2. In the chapter 2, there is previous studies. Some writers have been conducted the research about psychopaths as follows. The first is Puji Mahanani and Aningsi, 2013. They have analyzed Esther's psychopathy in David Leslie Johnson's orphan movie script. And then the second is Arumsari, 2012. She has analyzed a pragmatic analysis of refusal expressions used by the family characters in orphan movie. And then the third is Sirger and Dina Mariani 2018. She has discussed a study of expressive speech act used by the characters in orphan movie script. And then Papang Prihatin 2011, he has examined the personality of Esther Coleman in Jaume Colette Serra's orphan movie 2009, a psychoanalytic approach. And then Dwi Sosilowati 2012, she has discussed a socio-pragmatic analysis on directive utterances of orphan movie manuscript. And then Nurul Hikmah Maulani 2012, she has examined an analysis of Esther's psychopath problem in orphan film viewed from psychoanalysis theory by Sigmund Freud. And then Nur Aina Atika Yanti 2012, she has discussed love ambition of Esther in Jaume Colette Serra's orphan movie 2009, an individual psychological approach. And then Hetty Maria Francisca 2021, she has examined antisocial personality disorder seen in main character revealed in Serra's orphan movie. And then the last, Farida Ayu Vidyastuti 2011, she has discussed sadistic innocence in Jaume Colette Serra's orphan 2009, a psychoanalytic perspective. And in the underlying theory, there are psychopath and psychoanalysis approach. In the psychopath, there are characteristic psychopath and then the types of psychopath. In the psychoanalysis approach, there is the notion of psychoanalysis, which is personality, and then a good defense mechanism, and the last is developmental stage. Let's jump into the chapter 3. Chapter 3, there is methodology of the research. In methodology of the research, there are 3 points. The first is types of the study. The researcher used qualitative research, and then type of the data and the data source. The researcher used data type and the type of data source, and the last is method of collecting data. The researchers watching the movie and documenting the movie. Documentation can be in the form of writing, pictures, or monumental works of someone. Documentation that will be used in this research is capturing the scenes of the film. That was the presentation that I have given to my proposal entitled An Analysis of Esther's Psychopath Behavior Reflected in Orphan Movie, a Psychoanalysis Perspective. With the guidance of the lecturers, this paper is useful not only for my graduates but also for further research. Thank you for the opportunity. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.